Hello everyone. Yesterday we have seen that introductory part of the cybersecurity. Today we are going to learn about types of attacks, IDS, IPS, cryptography and their types. So what is attack? Attack means cyber attack, okay, which is done through the using computer and internet, okay, on another computer and internet and other systems. So this is attack. We can classify this attack by two types, that is active and passive attacks. Okay, active attacks means what and passive attack means what. So first learn about what is passive attack. Passive attack means what? The attack in which data is not modified. Okay, that is passive attack. They just attacks are done for the observation or for monitoring the data. And active attacks means what? In active attack they modify the data, okay, they alter the data. For that intention the active attacks are done, and hackers are doing the active attacks. Okay, so these are the mainly two types of the attack. You can also classify the cyber attack by the two types, that is web based and system based. Web based means which are attacks are going on the web applications, and the system based means which are doing on the systems. Okay, so that are the types of the attack. So let's begin with the first type. Okay, that is the denial of service. So see here, in this type of attack what happen actually, see in the figure, here is the two persons are doing their works on the computer. Here is the one another system. Here is the main server, okay, which they are accessing. This server they are accessing, and here is the attacker. So attacker is sent here many pings, and they are, so for that what happen, the server is getting slow. Okay, the attacker send many sites and many queries, okay, to getting slow this server. Okay, then what happen, the clients they are thinking that this website is very slow. Okay, the website is very slow. It's getting very slow because what, the attacker is attack on this server. Okay, they attack on this server, and because of that the get size is site is getting slow. So what is the intention behind this? Okay, that is a denial of service, or this is also called as DDoS, that is a distributed denial of service attacks. Okay, what is the intention behind it? The intention is that to slow down this site, okay, again to access the site data, okay, again to misuse the site data, okay, no, again whatever their intention, okay, different intention will be there, but main intention to slow down the site, okay, and to access the information from that site, okay, to make the changes. These are the intention in this type of attack. Again next type is sniffing. What happen in sniffing attacks are do the hacker for steal the data which he want, whatever data he steal from the network. Okay, see here PC1 PC2 and here is the PC3. Okay, uh, from that while networking or while communicating with in this PC, the hacker is steal data which he want. Okay, what that is called sniffing. In the sniffing the hacker steal the data, that is by the packet tracing. Okay, there are various tools for the packet tracing like Wireshark, okay, which trace the data. Okay, that's why they steal the data from the networking. This is the sniffing attack. Next is snooping attack, uh, spoofing attack. Spoofing attack are the one of the famous attacks in the cyber security and hacking. What actually happen in this type of attacks, the attacker take the advantages of the relation between the two systems. Okay, so how they take the advantage of this two system? See here, look into the figure. Here is the client, here is the client website which he want to access. Here is the attacker, and here is the fake website. Okay, so what client is request to access the real website into the from the server. Attacker inject the fake DNS entry and inject the fake website into the server. Okay, then what happen? Client access the fake website. Okay, it requests to resolve the fake website, and he couldn't access the real website. By using the fake website, attacker use the information of the client, okay, from his fake website. It may be anything. It may be the your social media account. It may be your e-commerce websites. Okay, so various websites are there. So these spoofing attacks are doing by this by taking the advantages of their relation between the client and the system. Okay, client means what he want to access the real website, but attacker inject this here entry of the fake website, and he make the fake website, and client forced to client to access this website. So here are various types of spoofing. It may be the IP spoofing, it may be the DNS, it may be the MAC address spoofing, it may be the ARP. IP means in IP they just they will just change the 2 or 3 digits of the IP address. In the DNS spoofing, they will change the little bit name of the website. Okay, if for example it may be the Amazon, okay, it may be Amazon.com is a website, then they will change the just one letter M for N. They will change one letter for make fake website. Okay, and they will inject here, and the client will access the fake website which he don't want. So these are the types of spoofing. Next type of attacks is man in the middle. What happen in man in the middle attack? Attackers attack on the middleware of the systems. Okay, so let's look at the stepwise. In step 1, when victim requests a web page, the request is directed to the attacker's computer. Victim will request the web page. Here is the server. Victim will request the web page. Then here is one attacker in the middle of the server and the victim. Victim request will goes to the attacker computer. Then what attacker computer will do? The attacker computers receive the request and retrieve the real page from the legitimate website. Okay. After that, in third step, the attacker can alter the legitimate website and apply transformation of the data. At the last, the attacker forward the request page to the victim. So the attacker what actually work here? Attacker change their message. Okay, attacker change what victim want. Okay, from the server. He used the victim information, and he again send the victim information from the server, which victim think that it comes from the server, but it doesn't come from the server. It is received by it is sent by the attacker. Okay, so this is what the middle man in the middle attack. Next type of attack is a session hijacking. In the session hijacking, it is a security attack on the user session over a protected network. See in the diagram, here is the victim, here is the attacker. The attacker first what happen? Attacker inject the script into the server, and next the victim authenticate on the server. Victim request anything on the server. It may be the login ID. He just log in for the web page to access the information. In the third step, server return the page code with the injected script. Whatever injections he done in here on the server, he received that page with the injected. Means anything wrong information with the script. Okay, anything script which will be gives the victim information, victim credentials may be there. Okay, which he will receive. So this is the third step, where second, in what happened in second step, he just request the page, server give him the return page with the scripting, okay, which he took on the server. In the fourth step, what happened, victim browsers execute the script and send session cookie to the attacker. Okay, victim browser, what happened, the session and the cookies they send to the attacker. After getting the session and cookies, easily he can hack, or easily anyone can hack the user or victim's computer. You can take the example of Google. If you are if you can copy the Google cookies and session from your web browser, from the files, okay, where is the app data is saved, okay, from that you can copy that cookies and session and just paste that cookies and session to the another computer with same browser, for the same browser, and open that browser into the that computer. You can easily get whatever his history, whatever his credential he has saved, okay, from the first computer. You can easily get that session and you can easily use that session. That is what session hijacking is done by the attackers. So next attack is a phishing attack. In this attack, the type of attack which attempt to steal sensitive information like user login credential and credit card number. In this attack, attacker use to steal information of the user. Okay, it may be the login ID and password, it may be the bank details like credit card, debit card number, ATM pin number. Okay, so how these attacks are happen, the user the attacker create one fake page, maybe the it may be happen by the email phishing, it may be the happen by SMS phishing. Okay, so various methods are there in phishing. We will look here one phishing attack by practically. So I will show you today how Facebook phishing attacks are done. Okay, so for that uh, I will open here Facebook page, okay, and enter here my credentials. There is the password and click on the login. It redirect me to the original Facebook page, okay, again to the Facebook page. So what happened, I become the victim of the attacker, and attacker can easily steal my information of what I enter. Okay, so where that information is getting saved, let's see here. Here is log file. Here is what my email ID, and here is what my password that I enter. Okay, let's do with another login ID and password. Do again. Again, I will open the Facebook. I will enter my name. And same password I will use here, which I use for phone numbers for the ID. Again I will click here. It again take me to the Facebook page. Let's see again. It saves password or not. It's saved. Here is the email ID and here is the password, which I say which will be the same. Okay, which is same. So this is how the attacker get information of the users. Okay, who think that this is the original page. We will enter here the login ID and password, but they again redirect to the another page. Okay, so they think that it may be the error, or it may be the internet problem, or whatever that, but the attacker works is done. Attacker get that information of the user, which is the ID and password. Okay, so this is how the phishing attacks works. Okay, for that I design here one fake Facebook page, okay, which is by login ID and password. To save the information into the text file, I use one scripting file, that is a log pwd php file. Okay, here is a fake Facebook page file, and here is a log file where our ID and password are getting saved. Okay, so this is how the phishing works. Okay, so that I want to show you. I have shown you. This is one type of the phishing, that is we have seen now. Next attack is brute force attack. Okay, so this is the type of attack where the attacker uses a trial and error method. This attack generates a large number of cases and validates them to obtain actual data like user password and personal identification number. These attacks are like guessing. They try another one after one queries. Okay, which query will be match? Okay, they don't know, but they just try. Okay, username and password. If anything will be match, okay, then they easily get access of the website or the whatever accounts and the system accounts will be there. Okay, that is what brute force attack. Here what attacker use the trials and the error method. Okay, they use number of username and passwords, okay, for the attack for the credential. So this is the brute force attack. Next attack is dictionary attacks. In the dictionary attacks, this type of attackers store the list of the commonly used password and validate them to get original password. You know that users are actually use the one word for the password. It may be the easily remember for them. Okay, it may be their name or some common words are there. Attacker have the dictionary of the millions or thousands of passwords which might be users think. Okay, they just remember and they just guess the password and they make the dictionary of that. They use the dictionary to attack. If any word from that dictionary is matched, then they will get the access of the user information. Okay, this is what the dictionary attacks. They use the dictionary to validate the user information or validate the password for the of the user. Okay, this is the dictionary attacks. Next is backdoors. The backdoors are it is a method that bypass the normal authentication process. Backdoors are they may be the authorized, they may be the unauthorized. Okay, how? Because they are the attacker who send the system, okay, to get infected. They send the uh, script to infect the one system by the backdoor. Backdoor means what? It is a weakness of your system. It is a vulnerability in your system, okay, which you might know. Okay, the attacker get that weakness and they uses that weakness to attack into your system. It get critical when you don't know about and getting attacks. Okay, you just make you use here firewall, you use here local DNS server, you use here all the authentication. Okay, you think that our system is secure, but one vulnerability is there which is useful, and that is a much for the attacker. It is critical when they enter or they install their application that might be you don't know. Okay, and after getting or after installing that application, they easily get whole access of your system. Okay, so that's why backdoors attacks are critical. It may be attacked by authorized user also and unauthorized users also. This is the backdoor attacks. Next is cross-site scripting attack. The cross-site scripting attack, that is XSS, is a vulnerability found in the web application. Now we have seen that backdoors, which is the vulnerability in your system applications. Okay, this is what the vulnerability in the web application. It allows criminals to inject the script into the web pages and view by the users. The script can be contain malicious code. Okay, the user, the attacker, uh, enter his script. Okay, and he display what he message want to display on their web page. Okay, so the criminals are inject their code, their script. Okay, to display the message that what he want into your system or into your web page. Okay, that is a cross-site scripting. You can take the example of the cross-site scripting, which is done by the Indian hacker on the 14 August or 15 August, where the Pakistan website or Pakistan depend on the Pakistan defense website, our Indian flags they display by doing this type of attack. Okay, so that is a cross-site scripting. Any many things, many more examples are there. This is usually attack, and this is done by the vulnerability in your uh, web pages. Okay, so this is the cross-site scripting attacks. Next is a code injection. It is the attack in which some data will be injected into your web application to manipulate the applications and fetch the required information. Okay, they just access your information. Okay, by injecting into your system. It may be the SQL, it may be the XML. Okay, by injecting that thing, they can easily get the access of your web page. Okay, by injecting SQL, by using the SQL injection attacks, they can easily get the uh, all the administrator login, because whatever your data is saved on the database, and if they get the database access, then they can change all the admin user ID password. Okay, all your data which will be going to display on your website. Okay, they can do whatever they want if they do this SQL injection attack. Yeah, these attacks are also doing on the web, done on the web applications. Okay, by injecting the XML and SQL. Okay, this there are some queries the attacker use to attack on the web applications by using the login and password. Okay, uh, so that is a code injection attack. There are types are XML injection and SQL injection. Next is buffer overflow. uh, so about this we have yesterday give you some information about the buffer overflow. So buffer overflow occurs when the data goes beyond the limits of the buffer, when you are entering the login ID and password, or some username information and password into your websites, but by mistakenly you are doing or by mistakenly you are entering the more characters. Okay, if their limit is 8 character but you enter the 15 characters, that characters are not useful for you, but the attacker access that characters. Okay, by buffer overflow attacks, and they use their information. Keyloggers are also using this, and also the mostly this is done by the non-validating. Okay, which is the non-validate data you enter. Okay, it may be the wrong password, it may be the old password. Okay, which you enter into your login and ID and password. Okay, into your systems. Okay, which may be the your long old password, which may be the uh, wrong password, but attacker use that information to access the another things. Okay, which may be useful for them. Okay, that is about buffer overflow attacks. So how to defend these attacks? To defend from these attacks, it is important to train employee in a cybersecurity principle. It is very essential to everyone to be aware from the cybersecurity, from the cyber attacks. Okay, so important to train your employee in a cybersecurity principle. You have to tell them about the cyber law, how the attacks are going on. Next is to install and use regularly update antivirus and anti-spyware softwares. You must install the paid version of the antivirus. Next, you have to update that software, because antivirus, because every day new attacks are going on or new attacks are coming into the cyber crime, cyber attacks, which is not detected by the antivirus, which is the old version. So that's why we have to update the antivirus. In that updation, they patch, they install, or they uh, get the information about the new attacks. So that's why we have to install new antivirus. The viruses are also the types of the attack that I forgot to tell you. The attackers also use the viruses to attack on your system. Okay, and what we have seen, that types are also they use for the cybercrime. Next is use a firewall. The firewall use is important because it uh, not install or not the firewall is protect you by the unauthorized access or any suspected table of files to enter into your system. Okay, so that is use of the firewall. So always enable your firewall, download and install the software updates, because by the old updates, if any patches are there, if any problems are there, so company patch that systems problems, and they releases new softwares. Also make backup copies of your data. It is important to backup your copies. If by mistakenly any attack is done on your system and your data is getting corrupted, then it is important to backup your copies, backup your data. So must install your backups on the cloud and into also on your hard drives, external hard drives. So control physical access to your computers and network components. So use physical access control. Okay, it may be the user access, it may be the credential. Give the permission, limited permission to proper user. Use limited versions to give user. Okay, if he is a third party, if he is another user, take all credential for the administrator will access the whole system, and he must give the limited access to the another user. Next is to secure Wi-Fi networks. Must secure Wi-Fi networks. If you are connected to the any suspicious Wi-Fi network, then they will get your access of data. They will access of your systems. Okay, use strong password. Regularly change password. The password are every password is getting easily hacked. Okay, but why should we use the strong password? Okay, so because the time to get hacked, it takes long. Okay, it takes much time to get hacked into your of your password by using the capital letters, by using the characters, by using the numeric. Okay, so make that password like it can't easily get remember to attackers. Okay, from their dictionaries also, by their softwares also. Okay, it is difficult they to get the password. So that's why use the strong password by using your capital letters, small letters, numbers and characters. Next important thing is use two-factor authentications. So why should we use the two-factor authentication? Okay, if anyone try to enter into your system by your login ID and your password, if they know your login ID and password, they can easily get into your system. If your system don't have the two-factor authentication, if your system have the two-factor authentication, they can't get easily access, because there one factor is added, one layer is added into your security. Okay, that is a two-factor. That is maybe it may be the OTP, it may be the security code. Okay, it may be the your face recognition, thumb impressions. Okay, so whatever that is a must use two-factor authentication. For example, you use two-factor authentication for your Facebook ID, for your Insta, for your Gmail. Okay, for the basic. So must enable the two-factor authentication. By this, okay, your chances of attacks, cyber attacks, are getting less. Okay, so to defend from the cyber attacks, use these things, and also share with your friends who are don't know or who don't have the much information about the cyber crimes or cyber attacks. Next topic is IDS and IPS. So what is IDS and what is IPS? IDS means that is a intrusion detection system and IPS is intrusion prevention system. Intrusion means what? It is a thing which is done by the intruder. Okay, intruder, who is the intruder? Intruder is known as the attacker. He attack on the system by using the intrusions. Okay, so what is intruder IDS and what is the IPS? It is a intrusion detection system means IDS and intrusion prevention system means IPS. They can also called as the IDPS, that is intrusion detection and prevention system. What actually happening in this IDS? We will see that here is the attacker from the internet. It enters into your firewall, into your switch. Okay, after entering into your switch, here is the IDS, that is intrusion detection system. It's connected to your switch and the alert message goes to the management system. Okay, again he access your LAN or it goes to your computer systems. But what happen here? It detect that something is wrong going on and that notification is goes to your management system. So this system detect what something is going wrong. In intrusion prevention system, here is the attacker attack on the system same by the same way. From the firewall they enter into the IPS, and here is intrusion prevention system is block this attack or whatever you want to do into your system. So that's why they not send here message, because it getting blocked here. Okay, so this is what happening in IDS and IPS. We will see here further which methods are they use to detect the system into the IDS and IPS. Okay, so these methods are used to detect the susceptibility and any attack or something going wrong into your system. Okay, so there are signature based method and the anomaly based methods. So signature based method, what happening in the signature based method? So here are the signature based method detect the attack on the basis of the specific pattern. Here are also the same the dictionaries or the some data or some the name of the attack or some list of the attack. Something is saved into that system already. If they match the same query into that system, they will find that attack and block that. Or they are in the, if it is IDS, it will detect, and if IPS, it will prevent that. Okay, so in IDS and IPS, both methods are used. Okay, same method are used for the detections. Okay, that is a signature base. In the signature base means something is same. Okay, some query, it may be the list of the attacks, it may be the list of the viruses. Okay, are saved in one file and it detects by matching that query. Okay, that is a signature based method. After that, anomaly based method. In this method, here are the new detection of the attacks or new types of the attacks are going on. So how it get prevented? So the machine learning they use here to create trustful activity model, and anything coming in compare with that model, and it is declared suspicious if it not found in the model. Okay, so here they are also use the signature, and that file is saved into that model. If that model is find that this is not into your file or this is not into your trustful activity. Okay, what is going on to your system? So it is somewhat suspicious. We look, it may be the new types of attacks. Okay, or anything suspicious. Okay, so compare, after comparing that, they found that it is a suspicious, and they declare that it is a suspicious into the model. So this is how the signature based method are and the anomaly based methods are work for detections of the IDS and IPS. uh, in the signature base, again I will repeat, they detect the attack on the basis of specific pattern of the data they save. It may be the activities, it may be the attacks names, it may be the anything which is going on regularly on their systems. Okay, if rather than something is happening, something different is happening on their system, then they will detect that and gives the alert message to the management. In anomaly base, it is work for the new types of attacks where trustful activities are already saved into the system. If something is different than the trustful activity, then it will declare as the suspicious one. Okay, so this is how the detection methods are work. So after that, what is the difference between and what is the comparison of the uh, IDS and IPS? So difference is that IDS are detection and monitoring tools, and the IPS is a control system. IDS is only used for the detection and the monitoring. Okay, they never block your suspicious activity. They just give you the alarm or the alert or the notification. They just monitor and they will find. They just detect. But the IPS is control system where they prevent and they block that suspicious activity. Uh, in the IDS, these tools do not take action on their own. They not take any action on that activities or any uh, type of tool. The control system accept and reject a packet based on the rule set. So prevention system is used to accept that activity and make a solution on that. Okay, from the any harmful things. Okay, so they use for the prevention. They mostly use for the preventing from the any suspicious activity. In this IDS, they just take the monitoring. They detect you, but they could not take any action on this suspicious activity. Next, in the IDS, they require a human or another system to look at the result. Okay, after getting result, any suspicious activity, they want any human or one tool to interfere or to detect or to remove that activity. But in IPS, it can update by themselves and they remove that threat from the system. Okay, so this is how the IDS and IPS are differentiated. But what is the comparison between them? So this is what comparison. They both read the network packet and compare the content to a database known threads. Okay, so previously I told you what they read. They compare that data. It may be the thread, it may be the suspicious activity, it may be the name of that uh, viruses or things which is different from the regular activities. Okay, so they both read that packets and compare that packet to the stored data. If anything is different from that, then they will uh, known as the take as a threat or the suspicious activity. So this is IDS and IPS. Next is a cryptography. So what is a cryptography? Cryptography is used to store or to secure your information through the use of codes. Okay, cryptography is used to store or secure mostly your information to use of codes. Cryptography is also used to maintain the CI triad model. Okay, it is mostly used to maintain the CI triad model. Okay, where confidentiality and integrity and the availability is maintained by the using of the cryptography. Okay, so how it is used, we will see the further. So this is the technique. First thing, remember, this is the technique where you secure your information through use of codes. So what is the meaning of the cryptography word? So cryptography means secret. Crypto means secret and the graphy means writing. Okay, means it is a study of secret writing. Okay, that is meaning of the cryptography. Take here one example. So what happening here? Here is a one person. Here is one person. Here is Andy name and here is the Bob. Okay, so here is Aves. Here is Sam and here is Andy. So he sent message to, hey Sam, how are you? Sending message over the network connection. He was getting his message and he changed his message and he sent again message to the Sam that, hey Sam, lend me $100 please. Okay, but what here, remember what actually he sent, what actually Andy sent? that is, hey Sam, how are you? Use are middleware between these, okay, and they change the message and again modify that message and send it to the Sam that lend me the $100 please. To prevent this type of attacks, to prevent from this type of things, we use the cryptography. Okay, so this is how what happening in the cryptography. So what happening in the cryptography, just to let's see here. So here is sender and here is the receiver. Here is a plain text and receiver also receive the plain text. How the plain text is going to the receiver, okay, by using the cryptography. Plain text is encrypted. Encryption means encoding, okay, plain text to the conversion of the coding language or any other language, encoding language, okay, that is the encryption method. So it convert into the ciphertext. By using the secret key, they log that message and it's sent over the network by the same key. Receiver get that message. He used to unlock that message, that secret key he used to unlock that message. He decrypt that key. Decryption means what? Encoding to the plain text. Means here what we have done. Here we encrypted message means we converted plain text to the ciphertext to the encoding. Here we converted ciphertext to the original message. That is a plain text. That is a decryption. By using the secret key, we decrypted the message. That is a receiver, and receiver get the plain text. Here is also plain text. Again, see here, sender send the message to the receiver. Plain text, it convert to the ciphertext, and he again decrypt that ciphertext and receive the plain text. So how it getting secure? This is how the cryptography works. How it getting secure? Middleware, the person doesn't understand what they actually send because it converted this message, okay, encrypted, okay. This is how the encryption is going on, and this is why the encryption they use. You can also see that on the WhatsApp and also on the updated chat messenger which we are using. They are also encrypted 1-to-1, okay, where they use the encryption method uh, to protect from this type of attacks, where middleware or third person will not come to interfere into this type of message to change the message. So this is how the encryption works. Plain text sent by the sender, it encrypted first by the secret key. Again the receiver receive that encrypted message, which is the ciphertext. Decrypt that message by using the secret key, and it read by the receiver, that is a plain text he get, okay. So this is what the cryptography is. Next is type of cryptography. There are two types of cryptography, that is a symmetric key cryptography and the asymmetric key cryptography. So what is the symmetric key cryptography? It is an encryption system where the sender and the receiver of the message use a single common key to encrypt and decrypt the message. In the cryptography, encryption and decryptions are done, that we have seen now. Which encryption and decryption or which communication is done by using the same key, that is known as the symmetric key cryptography. So how it happening? See here in the figure, here is the original data. It is encrypted by the secret key. It getting into the scrambled data, means the ciphertext, which is unreadable by the any middleware. This receiver receive that message and he decrypted that message by using the secret key, and he received that original text. Here what happened? The both user are use the secret key, which is the same key, okay, for the encryption and decryption, and they communicate with each other. But one of the disadvantage of this system is they use the same key, okay. If any middleware will be come, or any attacker is coming into this communication, and if he knows that secret key, then he will encrypt that message, he will decrypt that message, and he will easily get that message, and he can misuse of that message. Okay, so this is what the symmetric key. I explain you how it works and disadvantage of that symmetric key. Next type is asymmetric key cryptography. Symmetric key cryptography means where we use the same key for the communication, for the cryptography, for the encryption also we can say. In asymmetric key cryptography, we use the pair of the keys or use different key for the encryption or the decryption. Okay, so where we use the different key or the pair of the key for the encryption decryption for the communication, that we can say asymmetric key, where two keys are used. So here is what happened. Here is the receiver, here is the sender, here is the receiver. Original text, here is also original text. Receiver, or sorry, sender, remember here is the sender, here is the receiver. Sender sending his information, encrypted, he encrypted his information by public key, and here they use the different key. The receiver decrypt his message by the private key, and he easily get that original data. So the two terms are here coming, which is public key and private key. Okay, in the last term we just see in symmetric key cryptography the same key, that is a public key or the same key. Okay, so what is a public key? Public key means it is a key which is readable or which is known by everyone. Okay, publicly known. Okay, everyone knows about that key. Private key means which is only known by you, that sender also don't know his private key, and the receiver also don't know his anyone's private key. So private key means the private, okay, which is known by only you. Okay, other than you, anyone doesn't know about this key. So how the encryption works here, or how the decryption works here, how the cryptography working here. So in asymmetric key cryptography, both the sender and the receiver create public key and private key. They both create their public key, private key. He also create his public key, private key. Public key they use for the publicly known, okay, but the private key they use for their self also. So how the sender send that data? Sender use to encrypt it, okay, his public key. Okay, why? Because public key why? Because he can only decrypt the message by using the his private key. Okay, because it is known by him also. So he send the data by using his public key, and he decrypt the data by using his private key. Okay, so why? Whenever you are sending the, or whenever the in asymmetric key cryptography, the sender send the data by using the receiver public key, and receiver decrypt the data by using his private key, because private key is known by only him. Okay, that's why he used the private key to decryption. Just remember, sender only always use the public key to decryption. Whose public key? The receiver public key, and receiver use his private key to decryption. Okay, so this is how the asymmetric key cryptography use, okay, for the uh, encryption and decryption. In encryption, only just remember one thing, only use receiver public key for the encryption, and the receiver will decrypt by using his private key, okay, to receive the original message. Okay, this is how the asymmetric key cryptography works. So next So these are the following basic use of the cryptography in a network security solution. So I already told you that the cryptography is used to maintain the CI triad model. If the cryptography focus more on the confidentiality, because your confidentiality secret of the message is maintained. After that, access control, no one can access your data. Okay, after that, integrity, it maintains the integrity. If no one can enter into your system, because of that, the integrity is getting maintained, means no one is modifying your data, no one is altering your data. Okay, so these things are going important, or the use of the cryptography, you can say. Okay, so that are the four things, which is confidentiality getting maintained. After that, access control, no one is accessing your data, this is also use of the cryptography. And the integrated means the no one is modifying, no one is altering your data. Okay, so and the last one is the authentication. That is what the ability to verify who sent a message. It is done through the control key, because those with access to the key are able to encrypt the message. Here is authentication is also maintained, because only the person who has the access or who has the keys, okay, to authenticate, he can only use, or that person can only access that information or that message. Okay, so that's why the authentication is getting maintained. So these are the four main uses of the cryptography in the network security. That is a confidentiality, integrity, access control, and the authentication. So okay, CIA triad model is maintained, just remember here, by using the cryptography. So this is what the uses. Okay, in today's lecture we have seen that types of attacks, IDS, IPS, uh, difference and comparison between the IDS and IPS, how they works, and after that cryptography and the types of the cryptography. This is much. Looking forward for your questions. Thank you.